There we go. 1 o'clock. Show my screen. Make sure you can see that, Avish. Can you see it?
Yep.
Good. Well, welcome everybody. Thanks for being here. This is the regular. Oh, and I see Mr. DeWeese is here. Hey, I know that he's the hardest working man in the voiceover business. Bill, how are
That's
you?
right.
You know it. You know it.
Bill, why don't you just well,
Hello.
first off, you have over there, and I put it in a folder here, so I'm not going to be able to access it. But could you do me a favor and pull up that PDF that you sent me, and let me have you. You know what? Let me. Maybe I can just grab
The
it here.
Google Analytics.
Yeah. Hold on
Yeah,
one
let me see
second.
if I
Let me
can.
see if I can grab that screen. Here it is. Let me see here. You know what? Do me a favor, and could you? Here it is. There it is. Let me see here. No, I'm not having an easy time getting my hands on it. Do you mind grabbing that?
No, not at all. Let me see if I can get it. The way I did, I just entered your email and hit send. So I don't know if I can. Let me
Oh,
see
you
if I
know
can
what?
get
I
it.
could probably pull it up right here online, but it's just if it'd be easier if you have it. The reason why we're asking this, folks,
Mm.
is that I just saw some data from Bill DeWeese's analytics. And by the way, this is important. And Stanley, I hope you're listening as well here. Anybody who sets up a site, the first thing you should do when you first set up a site, you know, immediately, and that means immediately, put up Google Analytics or whatever program you're using to track things. And in doing so, you'll have some data that'll make it easier for you to make decisions because without that information, you cannot make good decisions about your site and what you're going to do and everything else that you're doing. So, the reason why I brought that up is that on Bill's, did you find it yet, Bill?
Yeah, I have it, and I just sent it to you too as an attachment,
Okay, you did. Let me then.
like 10 seconds ago. But I also have it here.
Yeah, you know what? Let me have you go ahead and could you bring that up? Let me change presenters, make you the presenter real quick. How long do you have, by the way?
About 10 minutes.
Okay, then why don't we quickly show people what it is you have? Let me change presenters here. You ready?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so I'm letting you be the presenter now.
Okay.
So as soon as that comes up here,
Okay. When ready, show my screen. Okay.
and I'm gonna, but don't start until I adjust it because I want to make sure that
Oops.
this fits in the same place that I'm doing my screen flow recording. Let me just make it a little bit smaller for me here. Okay, so let me just, first off, scroll down a little bit if you would. One of the things you see here, folks, is I'm sorry, go back up. So you had a total of 607 visitors and a bounce rate of 55%. Now, that may sound like it's a high bounce rate, but even, the airlines that people go to and they know they're going to be booking a ticket, their bounce rate might be 35%, so that a bounce rate of under 80% is actually pretty good.
No.
And this is, yeah, so this is a good bounce rate. Also, a couple of other things jump out at me here. Average time on the site of over 4 minutes. That's good as well. Yeah, it's people are spending a fair amount of time on the site, especially in this, people that have the attention span of a gnat. That's fairly good. For almost 3 pages, 2.9 pages per visit. Again, not bad. But the thing that most interested me is now if you scroll down, you'll start to see where this traffic is coming from. Actually, you can see it right there. The direct traffic means somebody put in or you directed them to voice-over-training.org. But the search engine visits are only 12%, which means that once the search engines kick in and start finding the site and putting it up there higher on Google, this is going to be good news. The other thing is, Bill, and you are you did you put in what's called a goal? I don't know if Stanley did that or not, to put in a goal to determine what percentage of the people who are visiting are opting in. You told me you had about 87 or 88 opt-ins, right?
I have 86. Yeah, and I have not entered that
Yeah, one of the
that
things
you
we
just
have to
asked me.
do is figure out the percentage of people that are opting in. And at one point, didn't you tell me it was like over 30%? How did you know that?
Well, I remember in the JV meeting that we had out at your place a few months ago. I threw out these numbers, and some of the guys told me, did the calculations for me, and I don't know exactly how they did figure that out.
Okay, well, the thing is, if we knew you had, say, for example, if Google Analytics told us that you'd had a total of 100 visitors and you then had 30 opt ins, we can assume that your opt in rate was 30%. But you can also
Right.
set something up as what's called a goal with Google Analytics. And that's something that Stanley, we can have him set up for you, that will allow us to know from this data what that is. But just keep scrolling down a little bit more. Let's go over a couple of other things here that I think are relevant. And Avish, do you have the same data available, by the way?
I have analytics set up, but I also have not set up a goal yet.
So in other words, we don't have any percentages on people who are opting in.
Um, no, I mean I can tell you that I can tell you the I put an ad tracker on the Facebook ad while it was running, and that was at about 15 to 20.
Yeah, well, that's people coming from Facebook, but we
Yeah.
don't know the number of people. Yeah, so let's take a look at this here. Direct traffic, as you see there, is 44% about referring sites about 30 and search engines about 12.36 or whatever it is there. So it's interesting to take a look at what those numbers are. And again, I said to stop all Facebook advertising, Bill, because it's I don't want you to be spending a lot of money until we know what the average value of a customer is here. So I can see though, if you scroll down a little bit, top traffic sources, direct, and then Facebook via referrals. Now I don't know. Can you track any sales to those Facebook referrals, Bill?
If I can, I have no idea how to do that. I'm
Okay,
not aware that
got
there
it.
is that
So
capability.
this is really important. So anytime we do any advertising anywhere, before we get the advertising set up, or anytime really, I mean, the other thing is, it's just like if we want to know how many unique visitors we get. So let's take a look at some of the data that's most important to keep here. We can determine who we're going to have do this later, but first off, you want to know your number of unique visitors. Without that, you really have no baseline measurement. It's like trying to, go to a weight loss training seminar and not weighing in. So unique visitors we have to know. We then have to know the percentage of people who opted in, and then obviously, usually I put it before that, the percentage of people who bought, and then what we call our average visitor value. And this is something that we should all do before we even start, sort of getting going with our sites, because without this information, you really can't make good decisions. So, in order to have that happen, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Stanley if he would, to every time we set up a site, and whether it's my site or anybody else's site, to immediately put this on there so we can capture this data. Now, in order for this data to be captured by Google, there's something that they use called a goal. Avish, can you explain what a goal is?
Yeah, a goal is just I think it can mean a few different things, but the most basic one is you can tell it a page, and it'll track as a percentage how many people get to that page. So the sign up thank you page is a good one to set as a goal. Now you can make them more in depth, which I've never done, like a funnel. Like you can say if someone starts at this page, then goes to this page. So it's just a way of uh, capturing specific user behavior, and then you
Yeah,
can
and I
see
think
what percentage of people do that.
it's good. So that's probably best sort of described by this, Bill, just so that you know and everybody watching or listening to this knows. The goal is, okay, we know immediately. It's sort of like when you have people who come through a toll booth at the very beginning of the toll booth area. So now we've tracked all the people that come to your site come through that toll booth. But the problem is when they get off, when they take an exit after they get on the freeway or on the tollway, they get off at different places. And unless we know where they get off, it's tough for us to gauge our effectiveness in various areas. So the goal might be, let's say, the thank you page for opting in. which, in other words, we know that in order to get to this goal, which is the thank you page, they would have had to have opted in, right, Bill?
Right.
So therefore, we're saying to Google, hey, track the number of people who get to the thank you page for opting in, or also track the number of people who get to the thank you for buying page. Okay, so what that means is it's a way of us knowing, because if we know that all of the people who go through the toll booth at the beginning of the toll booth, the toll road that starts at X point, some of them are going to get off, some are going to buy, others are going to get off and opt in, others are going to get off and do nothing. So the only two things we need to set as a goal for getting this basic data right up here is Google automatically tracks the number of unique visitors, but we do have to set up these two items as goals in order to know whether or not people bought and whether or not they opted in, if they came through the initial toll booth, right?
Right.
So then you got a thank you page for opting in and a thank you page for buying. Both of those will happen immediately after people take these two actions. They either get a thank you page for buying or a thank you page for opting in. So we know that whatever action we're trying to track has occurred. Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfectly.
Okay. So then what we're doing is we're tracking our number of unique visitors, but then we also are going to find out, in order to get this item here, the average visitor value, what you then have to do is to determine, you'll be able to track this with your Web Marketing Magic account. With Web Marketing Magic, and I assume that we could also do this, probably best, webmarketingmagic.com. One of the things that we can do is track, and Avish, I'm just trying to think of here, if all of your business, if all business.
And by the way, Fred, Bill's still got the screen, so we can't see what you're typing if that's.
Oh, got it. Hey, Bill, let me grab that back for you. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Thanks for letting me know here.
Do I need to do something?
Yeah. What's that?
Change presenter, probably.
I got it right here.
Yeah. There.
Okay.
Okay.
So, does everybody see it now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So in other words, here our goal is thank you page for opting in and thank you page for buying. And in order, so now we've taken care of these three items. This one Google does automatically with analytics. These two are done by setting up goals in Google Analytics. And this last one comes from, if we assume that all business is done online, then we just total whatever our dollars are made from our webmarketingmagic.com account, and we can figure out how many total dollars are generated. Now, if you have a mix of both online and offline business, you obviously want to separate those two. But so let's put in some real numbers here. Let's say that you had a total number of unique visitors of 100. Let's make these easy. Number of people opted in, let's say you had 31. Number of people who bought, let's say you had 4. And let's say you were selling a $100 digital product. So now we would know that, 31% of people opted in. We know that 4% of people bought out of those uniques. And we know that our average visitor value was how much? Total dollars generated?
$4.
400.
400 divided by 100, which is total unique visitors. So $4 per visitor. Make sense?
Yep.
And so as a basic thing we need to keep, we need to have this data, which, again, if you don't know how to do it yourself, you get someone to do it, and someone can do this like on, this is really easy stuff. So someone like on Fiverr.com could set up your account to make sure that, your Google Analytics account on any site that you're doing, so that you're tracking these things, because any program that you're using that has any value will tell you, if you're not using Web Marketing Magic, you're using something else, but there will be a thank you page that will result when people either buy or opt in. So that'll become your goal. So does this make sense then? And I know, Bill, you've got to go, so I don't want to keep you.
No, no problem. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Hey, one quick question on the
Sure.
Google Analytics when it said I had 600 whatever 600 visitors. Were those unique visitors or
If you
is
bring
that
that
just
up again,
visits?
I believe there was something down on about the fourth page of that report that they give you that listed,
Oh, okay.
absolute something called absolute uniques.
Oh, yeah, absolute. Yeah, 381 absolute unique visitors.
Now, I don't know. You know what you could do, and Avish, why don't you do this while we're talking? Could you Google what is the difference between a unique and an absolute unique visitor in Google's eyes?
Sure.
Because I saw that and I thought, huh, I'm not sure. I think I know, but I'm not sure that I know. So what's by absolutely unique, it means they've never been to your site before, I think, or that they haven't been there in the last 30 days. There's some kind of a time element to it, and Avish will tell us when you get it and you can read it to us. Let us know.
Yep.
So that figure is important because it really tells us, the effectiveness of our closing for getting people to opt in and getting people to buy. Yeah, got that yet, Avish? We're expecting Google to
I'm
be
reading something about it now.
instantaneous. Yeah. And Bill, as he's getting that, first off, the data that you showed me is very encouraging though, because people are staying on the site for quite a while. A and B, they are also, they're staying there for over 4 minutes on average, and number of pages they visit is like three, so they obviously are finding a couple pages that you put up there, you know, and maybe in most cases they were being sent to a specific page, but they're staying for quite a while. If you think that your average video length is probably about 6 or 7 minutes, it's not bad.
Right. Good, good.
Avish, anything to
And
report?
Trying to make sense of this one article about it.
Okay, and so Bill, before you go, then let's just review this. So, for us to know the very very basics here of what's happening, is we're going to do this. And also, Bill, I don't know if you got my email right before we got on the call with regards to the membership, the wish list stuff.
yes.
And so what'll happen is I already own like one site license, and what we're going to do is we're going to do a multi-site license, and then you and I will split that, and then everybody else who's a JV partner or anybody else who starts using that will be paying us back as they come on board. So we'll actually
Oh,
recover.
okay.
We'll recoup some of that money,
Okay, cool.
whatever it is. Even though I know you're the hardest working man in the voiceover business, and have already made $4,000 this week.
As I still have to watch my dollars, right?
You sure do. Anyway, so you can
I
take
got all
off.
the.
Let me see if Avish has an answer,
All
then
right.
I'll let you go.
Not yet.
Okay, so now, Bill, one of the things that's happening is all of these videos. And did you pull a rank report today, by the way? Bill, did you get that?
I'm embarrassed to say I don't even know what that is.
That ranking report?
A rank report. What's a ranking report? Oh, that ranking. Oh, I'm sorry. Mike's marketing thing. I thought you were talking about it. Another Google type report.
No. So let's put this in
I have
here.
not, but
And by the way, if anybody's watching, look at this. I'll copy it later. So our dead center keyword term is voice over training. Check our ranking report. Whoops, that's getting too big here. Let me bring it down to size. Oh, we're now at 42. It looks like, rather than 44.
okay. Well, we're moving up the ladder.
Yep, we're moving in the
We're
right
off and
direction.
on again with Yahoo.
Yeah, I know Yahoo is weird that way. I don't know what's going on with them. So, but anyway,
One
the
day it
point
can be
is,
number 12, next day nothing, next day 19.
yeah, it's sort of weird. So anybody who is looking to figure that out, and by the way, this is a great tool, is go to this, which is mikes-marketing-tools.com/ranking-reports, and get a hold of that, and you can track your own site stuff, which is a good idea to do. Avish, anything else to report on that?
No, one makes it look like it's just an old name versus a new name. Are you seeing both unique and absolute unique on the same report?
I think we should rely
I'm only
on
seeing
absolute
absolute.
unique.
Yeah, I only see absolute unique on mine.
Yeah, so
I see no reference to you.
So, Bill, let's rely on that number to get our data, but it'll be interesting
Okay.
because we'll be able to see from the goal that we set up, exactly what's going on here. But let's do that. But it looks like we're going definitely in the right direction, both in terms of the ranking and everything else. So, great job. And I get off, I know, because you got to do a lot of narration.
Back to the microphone, guys. Nice talking to you. Take care.
See you,
Thanks,
Bill.
Fred.
You got it. Bye.
Bye bye.
Okay, so Avish, let's go to, well, if we look at voice, show, let's take a look at Bill's site then. And I think that, again, whatever he's doing here, Avish, is working pretty well. So, again, did we make some changes? And I'm not sure if we're going to get the site up here because.
It was working now. It took a few minutes, but it seems to be working now.
Okay, let's see here. Is it working on your side?
It did come up. It was a little slow, but it came up, so.
Yeah, I'm not. Do we know what the cause of this is?
I have no idea. Unless, I mean, if Stanley's on, unless he's doing something. I haven't done anything on the site today.
Got it. Well, we can use, before we do that, we can use, well, let's just wait till it comes up here if it does. Yeah, that's still his. So we know that this is starting to gain quite a bit of traction, and it's got some good results from all the data that we've seen. So I think that, again, when you look at Bill's blog, we've now got, just a ton of different things listed, as I think you do there as well. But I think he's contacted, and this is another thing that I think works well, is this idea of short videos for blog posts can work well, or at least to mix those in, to have written, because for you it's probably easier for you to do written blog posts, right?
I don't think it's easier. I think I just got a mental block about the videos I gotta get past.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it is that if you've got ScreenFlow or Camtasia, whatever, turned on, he does these little videos. You've seen him, right?
I haven't seen his Camtasia ones or ScreenFlow ones. I've seen
yeah,
his
well,
like
here.
talking head ones.
Let's just show you the. This is what he does. I mean, he's done 45 of these or so. There's a ton of them. So let's take a look.
Hi there, Bill Deweese here from voice-over-training.org. And I've been a talent coach for a long time, and I've worked with hundreds of students along the way. And the biggest challenge in working with talent is the direction of getting them to be themselves. Because most people, especially earlier on.
Yeah, so I mean, he goes through this whole thing, and he's got now, if I can click on this, maybe by clicking on the video, does it take me to YouTube? I don't know. Let me just see here. Yeah, so you see here, he's got 45 videos. That's a lot of stuff, and they aren't long. Some of them are fairly short. I mean, here's one, the 10-minute, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 4 minutes. So it's not that they're long, but he's got a real good collection now of all this stuff. 9 minutes, 5 minutes, and he's starting to really get a lot of traction, and people are coming to him and saying, hey, tell us more, where can we buy your product, stuff like that. So he's got a bunch of stuff going on. So I think what he's doing is working. Then the other thing that he's going to be doing is taking these short video blog posts and transcribing them. So what that does is, now again, Google is probably looking or listening to videos for keywords. But if you take and put the video up and then you have them transcribed, and by the way, there are people that do the transcription really, really inexpensively. So, I mean, I've got somebody I'm working with right now that's charging me 50 cents a minute. So for 30 minutes, or for 60 minutes, 60 minutes of video, I'm getting that for $30 transcribed.
Yeah, that's good. You mind sending me that person?
No, not at all. And so what we can do is that this, is a great way if you do video blog posts. You're resulting now. Again, it depends on how fast you speak, but you pretty much, for me, whenever and it's so weird how over the years this has been almost exactly the same. Whenever I'm doing one of my seminars, 1 hour almost always equals almost exactly 10,000 words.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you're doing, when you're doing video training, it may be a little bit less, but the whole idea here is, let's make it easy here. Let's say I'll make this add up really well. 1 hour equals 12,000 words, which would be talking really, really fast. But so that means 60 minutes. 60 minutes equals 12,000 words. And so how many words is that per minute? What is that, 200?
Yeah.
200. That's right, isn't it? Yeah, 12.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So 200 per minute. So it's actually, in the reality, it's about, but at 200 words a minute, if you did a 5-minute video, you're talking about, but the cool thing about it is she's charging you by the minute. She's not charging you by the word. So even if you're a really fast talker, so at 5 minutes, look at 10 minutes, you're paying her $5, right? I mean, that's ridiculously low. Now, for everybody who's watching this program, the answer is no. I'm not giving the name out of the person that I found to do this. Because quite frankly, I don't want her to get swamped with work. But you can find other people on Elance or Guru or Fiverr.com that'll help you do this kind of stuff. And preferably find some, local person in the area, somebody who perhaps is handicapped or a stay-at-home mom or something like that, where you can give them some money to somebody locally. Find somebody like that. But man, this is incredible. And again, you're looking at really, really low rates. Now, what this gives you is, this is why I did this. At 10 minutes, at 200 words per minute, let's say, let's cut it down. Let's make it 5 minutes. So the cost is going to be $250 to get it transcribed. But the interesting thing is, if you take 5 minutes and multiply it by the number of words, you're looking at, and again, I sort of made this a little bit longer, but you're looking probably at somewhere between 750 and 800 words, which is fully long enough for a good blog post.
Now, are you putting that transcription into a separate blog post, or are you putting it in the same blog post or in the description, in the video description field?
In most cases, I think that's probably the way to do it, and I think I did it. I don't know if you saw this, but one of my webinars, we did that for, and we put this long blurb underneath it. So basically, it was the video on top, and right underneath it was the words.
In the blog post?
Yes.
Okay.
So that people could either watch it or just read it.
Got it. Makes sense.
Yeah, and remind me, and I'll send you that contact that I have, that I told her that I would be sending her, some of my JV folks. So, I mean, I think that this is a really good way. I mean, if you're frustrated by not getting stuff up, this can be done really inexpensively to get a bunch of stuff up, because the perception, especially, Avish, if we're talking about speakers, I think that with speakers, video makes sense, because it's a visual medium, and so that's why we had everybody in our speaking group, record an introduction video.
Right.
Because I think this would be helpful.
Yeah, I mean, and as long as we're okay with it being me at my desk with my webcam, then I mean, I was doing that a few months ago. I was doing probably 1 to 2 videos a week, and then I kind of got off of that for whatever reason. So as long as we're okay with it being like that for this, then I think that'll be easy to do.
Why weren't we okay with it before? I don't think I said anything.
I think we're okay with it before. I think the mental block I was talking about is using video when it's just me talking, like there's no visual element to it necessarily. But I realize that's just my own kind of hang up over it, which I just got to get over and just start doing regularly.
Yeah, and not only that though, but I mean, the other thing that would be cool with that is if you set up like you know how I have in my office in Vegas, the blackboard now hanging, behind me.
Hmm.
And so if you wanted to, you could be like Ross Perot and just have a little chart that you hold up or something like that.
Okay, but I can get started with just doing it at the desk.
Yeah, I'm saying I don't think it's a problem, but if you had something you wanted to visually illustrate, you can just grab a little whiteboard and write on it and then just show that in the video.
Hmm.
I
Okay.
don't think it has to be super sophisticated for it to work. And the other thing is in terms of getting, recognized by the search engine for a lot of content, this is definitely the way to go.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, cool. And so anyway, let's see here. What else did we want to discuss? I also had one of the things that we're doing is I'm trying to put together something that will allow people, and like right now I've got one with you and one with Bill O'Hanlon, and let's talk. So Avish and then Bill O'Hanlon as opposed to Bill DeWeese. So we have the speaking, and let me make sure I have it right. Paid public speaker, right?
Yes.
So we have paidpublicspeaker.com where you can get coached as a speaker, and it's coming out to around $300 per month, 6-month minimum, 6-month commitment or minimum. Now, one of the things that we're doing at publishingabook.com is, and that, by the way, is a $297 or $300 a month coaching program for people who want to get published. And that one was not a 6-month commitment. But the thing about these are that, each one of these gives people a little bit of individual, but mostly group coaching. And same, for this one as well down here. But there's also both of these we're going to put together, and I don't know if you know this yet, Avish, but we're putting together a self-paced, program for each.
What is that?
Well, I'm going to show you. Funny you should ask.
Uh-huh.
This is what Bill and I have been putting together. I put together this document in which, and again, these were just sort of general notes. And so I don't know how easy those are to read, so maybe I'll enlarge the type a little bit here. Okay, so first thing to do with a self-paced program, and I was trying to do this sort of in general, is you do a launch sequence geared to getting people to sign up for an expensive coaching program. That's our $300 a month, or $300 per month with 6 months up front. It's not a self-paced program, but geared to those who want more attention. For those who do not buy the higher end program, which is the program we're doing, Avish, then they are sent to a page that tries to get them to do a self-paced program. Self-paced, less expensive program. So this one will probably end up being somewhere around $97 per month. So then what I said to Bill, and this is what we've done for publishing and what we're going to be doing for speaking, is recreate the titles of the 12 monthly modules. Because when people come there, they want to know, well, what am I getting? And well, you're going to get 12 monthly modules. You can quit at any time, but so then we come up with this list. And Bill and I came up with a list, and I'll show you what that list is for publishing. And that list for publishing looked like this. Let me find it right here. So that list for publishing was this, and we're going to do the same thing for speaking. Getting started, direction for your ebook, e-publishing, creating your proposal, getting it written, getting the book finished, working with agents, deciding if you should self-publish, creating your products online, your product line, setting up blah blah blah. So there's 12 modules here. Each one of those modules has, and I think I may have put it in this other one, but each one of the modules, first off, set up Google Analytics to determine what's going on with each of these. the creation and the selection of the products associated with each model. So once we set up what the modules are, we look to find out what existing products we have that would, where, you know, and what existing products we have and where we should place them in the 12 months worth of modules, where they'll best fit given the topics, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what we're doing is we record new products if we need more to suit the needs. And then we create a video to sell the self-paced program that we're going to put sort of on the front end of it. We create the copy as well. We obviously have to reserve a domain name if we don't have one already or use an existing one. Then we want to set up pages, sales page with the video on it and the copy, and the membership area that has the video, the audio, the PDF content, and a forum for members to interact. You know, complete listing of all products. And when we list the products on the page where people can go to see what we have to offer in that self-paced program, they can click on any of those products and they will go to a Web Marketing Magic link that shows them how much that product is actually for sale for. And they will see that maybe the one product they click on is $97 if you buy it alone. But if you get involved in the program, you get this and that and that and a whole bunch of other stuff. So it makes it a really good value.
Mm-hmm.
Then what we do is we record interviews, and now I'm right up to here. Can you see that clearly?
Yeah, I can see it fine.
So you record interviews to introduce each module. Better video, but audio is okay. So the whole idea is that Bill and I recorded a, you know, basically an introduction to that module that said, hey, here's what this module is all about. Here's how you should be using it, blah, 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 the whole thing. So there are going to be 12 of those, and each of those introduces each of the module. But again, each of those is hidden behind a membership a paywall. So that what happens is when people sign up, they sign up on a month-to-month basis. So they sign up and they get module number 1 if they pay for month 1. As soon as they sign up for, you know, month 2, they get access to module 2, and they still have access to module 1. You know, then they pay for month 3, they get 3, 2, and 1, and it goes on from there. And we also record occasional unannounced bonus interviews of people who'd be helpful. They get to attend live events for a small discount if they have a membership in the group. They get to participate in group forums, sort of like what we're doing right now with the group, Avish.
Yeah.
But the group forum will be a separate and different one for the group that's doing the self-paced program. Then I was thinking about this, and I think we should do one free seminar yearly just for members of this group. And if the numbers are low and there aren't that many people, we just invite them to come to the publishing seminar, or in our case, we invite them to come to some other seminar that's more speaking related. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Then starting at about month 9, we start offering something to keep them in the program. In other words, okay, they're getting to the end. When they get to the 12th month, they're basically through the self-paced program. But my question is, how do we find a way to keep them in there? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So that's my thing. Now, by the way, I can send you a copy of this, but this is what we're going to be doing for, you know, we're doing it both for this program, the speaking program, for the publishing program, and also for a program that's going to be specific to psychotherapists. So everything that we do is going to have the same sort of template, and then everybody who's a JV partner will be doing something similar as well.
I got a couple questions about this whole thing.
Shoot.
So you're going to do the launch sequence for the full high-priced interactive one. What are you going to do if people leave the page without signing up? They're going to pop up that says, hey, you want to check out this self-paced one instead? Or are you going to wait till after registration of the live one and then say, if you didn't want that one, you can sign up for this one?
I'm not really sure, but I know this, that most of the people who leave without signing up usually don't sign up.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's one or the other or both, we're going to make it, because I figure if we get them there and they go to the page and they decide not to, we're going to give them the option. And frankly, I don't think we should, hide the option from the people who are signing up. That's like, hey, it's $297, but you get a lot. We're going to be giving them a lot more stuff. It's going to be personalized. We're going to answer their specific questions. I think the differentiation between the differentiation between the $297 program and the $97 self-paced program it's a massive difference.
Just to refresh you, so do the people on the passive one get all the products as well, or just the full one?
They don't get the same products.
Okay. So they'll still get a bunch of additional products, but not the $10,000 worth of products that.
Correct.
The
Yeah.
people.
So we're going to make it so that they get a reduced amount of offerings, and actually, it's a good point here. So, so I would put total number of products is less than in higher priced program. These are good questions, just to have it. What else? What else did you need clarified?
A lot about clarification, but one of my things, when I've thought about doing this for whatever project, a group program, one of the strengths of the group program is the interaction amongst the group members. Have you ever had a situation, or do you have a strategy for dealing with, like, you put something out there and you only sell like 3 or 4 spots? Because that's a small number to really get that group interaction. Do you still go forward with a small number of people? Do you roll them into something else? Or
got it. So the question
approach
is,
to that?
So what's happening here is, okay, let's say we only get 4 people to sign up for the self-paced program. I really look at the group interaction as sort of a bonus element. So what they're really getting is the modules each month. I think the group interaction is important, but so even if there are only a very few people that are involved, they also are able to interact amongst themselves even as a small group. But I think, yeah.
Okay.
No, but I think your point's well taken. So in other words, what happens if there aren't very many people who sign up? They sort of lose that ability to do that group interaction because if it's just like one person shouting in the wind kind of thing.
Well, there's that, and then there's also just the payoff for you, and I guess that was my question for you as well, is if you're putting in all the time to put in 12 months worth of modules, you only get 4 sales, is it still worth it? And you just go ahead and consider it a sunk cost, and then you'll have these modules you can use in the future again.
Yeah, and I mean, since this is a perpetual launch kind of product, I don't look at that as an issue.
Okay.
So that's some of the data on that. Then I wanted to show you, I don't know if you saw these, but I wanted to show you what happened now with when if you're on fredgleeck.com. Let me show you. I don't know if you've seen, I don't think you have, but I sort of told you about this. So if you're on fredgleeck.com, there's now a little thing that says here, become a protege. Does everybody see this? Become a protege. You see that, right, Avish?
Yeah.
So I click on become a protege. It takes me to jvwithfred.com, which used to just have a screen that said, here, fill in the blanks and get this. But instead now, what I did was I got Bill DeWeese and Bill O'Hanlon and soon you and Burke to do an interview with me. And here's what I did. And I think this is where I get people to sign up to become proteges. But after they read that, then they can click on let's get started. But this is what I did. And you don't really know, so I'll show you. Okay, so I'm here today with Bill DeWeese, and this particular section, this video is called My Ideal Client and Why. You watched it?
Yeah, actually, emailing you about this was on my to-do list for today. I just didn't quite get to it.
Now, did you see the one with Bill O'Hanlon?
I did not see Bill O'Hanlon.
Okay, well, let me show this as an illustration of how not to do something. Here's what happened, folks. This one worked very well. I was using a cool screen capture tool. By the way, that is cool screen capture tool. So let me just close this, save it, and close this and save it. And so I was using something called cool screen capture tool.com, by the way, my affiliate link for a program. And so at cool screen capture tool, the first time I did it, I checked everything and double checked it. The second time I did it with Bill O'Hanlon, his answers came out beautiful. The problem is my audio wasn't there. So here's what I did to fake it. In this one, you see me talking. Like I've made Bill my lips are moving in the small box there. In this one, there was no audio, so I had to go back and reconstruct what were the questions.
Well, I think one of the things that both of us appreciate.
Blah, 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 blah. He talks, but it's because I screwed up and didn't, keep my audio wasn't there. I had to put that in. So every time I ask him a question, which is there are about 5 or 6 questions throughout here, and all of them, here it is. There's the other one that comes up. Where is it there? You saw it. Yeah, there it is. So now I had to do this.
Well, first I'll say is that I have been an admirer of yours
That's a good
for
workaround.
years.
It was the only workaround. I mean, I felt like a moron because he really gave really good answers. But anyone who's doing anything that involves clients, you should do this for client testimonials, where it's a great way to do it, where you have other people. And so on this site, eventually, Avish, you're going to be below Bill, and then below you is going to be Burke, and we're going to have everybody in there. So when someone clicks on Become a Protege, this site is set up to invite you to submit a JV project, blah, blah, blah. And I put the people there, and I think this is a really good way to sell this or to sell basically any program. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the video testimonial is a great way to do it, so I certainly agree with that.
And the reason for that is that now, again, if we're going back to numbers, you can't argue with the Fred Info Bootcamp numbers, which Fred Info Bootcamp has an average visitor value of, let me see if I can find greater than or around $40 per visitor, which makes me think I could probably test some pretty high-priced pay-per-click. So Fred Info.
I think if we were testing, because I'd be curious as to who those visitors are they're getting. They're already. If even a small percentage is predisposed to buy.
Correct. Good point. So in other words, most who visit Fred Info Bootcamp are either existing. But I'll tell you what, I've had at least 2 people who are attending the boot camp who their first exposure to me was on that site.
Well, yeah, it's probably worth putting a few bucks in and testing it just to see what happens.
You got it. That was my thought as well. So, and the reason why, and again, I think that if you take a look at the Fred Info Bootcamp, infobootcamp.com, I think one of the reasons why this works, and this thing is always annoying, but it's an auto start here. So it's because there are just so many testimonials out the yin-yang, and that makes it a really powerful site because of that.
Yeah.
And I think that the fact that, I certainly don't think it hurts that, in all those video testimonials, if you think about it, we have, not every, but both genders covered. We have multiple ethnicities. We have a large age range, etc. We got everybody covered when you go to Fred Info Bootcamp. There are a lot of different kinds of people and different accents, people from overseas, people from Africa, people from Europe, people from all over. It makes it pretty impressive. And I think that's worth sort of modeling if you're doing something yourself. Any thoughts? Anyway, so that's a good one there. So, yeah, Avish, I think that your questions, though, with regards to the self-paced program are valid and important. Okay, so let's see here. Stanley said something is not his fault. I didn't know what he was saying is not his fault. But the server is slow. So that's probably what he was talking about. Okay, now does anybody have any questions? Because we're just about at the end of what I wanted to make sure that we covered today. Anybody have any thoughts, questions? Please write them in the questions area, and we will answer them now. I'll give everybody a couple minutes to decide that. Avish, any questions that you have?
I don't think so. I think I got my questions answered.
Good, because one of the things we want to do is try and figure out a way to start getting, we'll get get better results and get more traffic and more visitors and get things cranking. And again, it's it's time put in and getting all this stuff going. So yeah, remind me to send you that person's. In fact, I'll do that right after we get off.
Cool.
Now we have our speaking group in 2 hours after this, right?
Yes.
Good, just to make sure I get the times right. And anybody have any other questions? Questions of the group? Anybody watching? No? Well, then we're not going to artificially, keep you until exactly 2 o'clock, which we normally do. But again, every Wednesday, same time, same channel, 1 p.m. 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern time is this weekly webinar. And again, you know what really gets me though, Vish? There were 58 people signed up for this, and we have less than half of that number on the call. And so,
well, it's a problem with free, right?
Yeah, it really is a problem with free. So anyway, thanks everybody for listening. Tell your friends. We'll see you next time. Avish, thanks for your thing, and I'll see you in 2 hours.